The video was pulled. It is up now. We have it. Now, of course, they're going to run psyops. They're going to say there's no world government, no plan to get rid of the dollar, as they have open meetings and announce they're doing it. They're going to announce there's no plan to indoctrinate their kids as they begin changing Christian hymns to worship Obama. They're going to say there's no gun bills when they've got more than 15 introduced I've seen that openly ban the Second Amendment. If the Attorney General wants to ban everything he can, it just gives him dictatorial power. They say there's no death panels. Then they have Newsweek saying death panels, the case for killing Granny. Headline. They deny, so you'll debate whether it exists or not, so you can never mobilize. So this is just some of what we're dealing with here. We're going to play this clip in just a moment and go back to Joyce, Scott, Jeremy, Danny. Joyce hung up in Montana. Joyce, call back. I wanted to go to you. 1-800-259-9231. Keep a line open for Joyce if we can. 1-800-259-9231. Here is the video clip right now, ladies and gentlemen, from them admitting they don't know why there's mercs. They're saying they're police, and video of it. They don't know what's going on with the camp. They don't know who's going to be held in it. It's a giant facility. And then we have an earlier newscast where the town wanted it to be a FEMA camp to hold political dissidents. We just played that earlier. And my gut told me that this was the town I'd heard about a few months ago. We just confirmed it. Steve Quayle, let's play it before it goes dead again. Here's the video.
All members of the American Police Force showed up in Hardin yesterday, driving vehicles with Hardin Police written on them. As Color 8's Nick Law reports, it created quite a stir, especially because Hardin doesn't have a city police department.
This was the talk of the town in Hardin on Thursday. Mercedes decked out in the City of Hardin Police Department decals and driven by American Police Force members. Two Rivers Authority officials say having APF patrol the streets was never part of their agenda.
You know, I have no idea. I really don't, because that's not anything that's been in the discussions that I've had with any of them.
As it stands now, the Bighorn County Sheriff's Department is contracted to patrol the city, and APF has no jurisdiction. If that was changed, Peterson claims it would have to go through the city council. As for the jail contract with APF, both sides are yet to agree on a deal, as bondholders rejected it again on Thursday morning.
No, it's a complicated issue. There's a lot of tax laws that they're working through, and we're just hoping now. We thought we were going to get it by Tuesday night. We're hoping now we can get it by Friday night.
And Two Rivers Authority officials say the contract only deals with the detention facility and the training center. There's no mention of a homeless shelter, animal shelter, or any other services for the area.
Well, you know, that was never in the contract to begin with. I think it was just kind of on a wish list of what Captain Michael wanted to do here.
American Police Force officials plan on staying in the Hardin area for the next month.
And that was Color 8's Nick Law reporting. The exact details of the contract talks between Two Rivers Authority and American Police Force remain under wraps.
So you buy a bunch of black SUVs, bring in foreign mercs, admittedly run by foreigners, and your authorities drive a black car, wear a black uniform, got a German Shepherd and a machine gun. You are now an authority, Steve Quayle.
Well, I think the thing that people have got to understand and has really got to sink in is that we are under occupation. Look, we watched it happen in Nazi Germany. By the way, what's happening in the best illustration is pre-World War II Norway, how the Nazis moved into Norway, moved into Sweden, moved into, obviously, Scandinavia, and assimilated into the community. How long, Alex, have you and I been reporting on all the anomalies that people are seeing? And now it's here, ladies and gentlemen, because, again, and Alex, there are 400,000 foreign troops in the United States. People used to give us crap all the time about it, and they did. They gave me crap until it just, it just flowed. The bottom line is, and then Northcom comes out and says they want permission from Congress to strategically place 400,000, quote, peacekeepers in the U.S. Where do those peacekeepers come from? Well, guess what? The United Nations. And isn't it incredible that the CDC, and we got to bring this in, the Center for Disease Control and the World Health Organization no longer report H1N1 deaths because there's not enough of them. So how can you have a pandemic when there's no deaths to warrant the level 6? This is all manipulated. It's all absolute programming, and it's all designed to put us under martial law. And by the way, the Hardin facility isn't for Gitmo. It's for people who are resistors. And
let me stop you right there. They admit that in the Homeland Security reports we broke and the MIAC reports. Is Steve still there? Steve, finishing what you said, you talked to the county sheriff's department, Steve, by the way, has given us dozens of good reports, and more than that over the years. So we know we can count on what Steve tells us. We've had Steve on it several times, not Steve Quayle, but the other Steve as a guest, about bizarre stuff going on at universities in East Texas and all these flu drills before this even happened, practicing quarantining with Army at different universities. Steve, you talked to her and she just said none of this is going on, but you said, well, I've seen the newscast with that on the mercenary vehicles, and she said, well, that's been taken off. So first she denies it, but as soon as she knows that you know facts, she goes, well, that's no big deal. I mean, that is really frightening when the sheriff's department is engaged in deception.
And I also want to mention I had an interesting discussion with a woman with City Hall tied in with the City Council. I wanted to point out, first of all, Alex, the guy that's on that newscast, he's not the mayor. His name's Al Peterson. He's with this Two Rivers Authority. And if you'll notice, he used the name Captain Michael. They said they had a contract. Well, first of all, with the sheriff's department, the woman, by her response, this is fake. And then when I told her what I knew, I mean, she didn't know what to say, but when she said it's taken off the vehicles, in other words, in her mind, that makes it all okay. And, you know, to summarize all that, I just told her, no, what needs to be removed is these people from your town. And when I talked to the City Hall woman, you know, I just let her know, look, you need to let these people with the City Council know they're there to uphold the laws of your community and to protect the locals. It's local municipalities. And she said,
well, listen,
and I
Steve,
asked her, who's...
Go ahead.
What's that?
Go ahead.
I asked her, who's the Two Rivers Authority? Well, they're here for they're set up for economic development.
So let's be clear. It's just like LCRA here in Central Texas has SWAT teams, armored vehicles, private jails. It's a quasi-private group. They take over towns. So that guy acting on the news like he's the mayor of Two Rivers, this is just the head of this authority that's done a contract with the American police force that isn't even American, who's now driving around just announcing themselves as an incorporation over the city. This is a total takeover. Good job, Steve.
Yeah. I'd like to say one more thing.
I got to go to other callers, or I'm not going to be able to get to others. Steve, can we keep you to the bottom of the hour another 5 minutes?
Sure.
Okay, because I want to be able to take calls and get their info. Let's continue here. Let's talk to Scott in Nebraska. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's the work ethic camp. I'm in Nebraska. It's a little town on the western edge of Nebraska, right next to Wyoming, Colorado, called McCook. Just Google work ethic camp Nebraska. It's disguised as a drug rehab prison, but this is a FEMA camp if I've ever seen one. This is a concentration camp. Can you see any of that yet?
No, but I'm aware of how they camouflage these. Notice I said this was really a camp for Camp X-ray prisoners, and then we found mainstream news out of Billings saying that. Now, I'm not bragging about my mind. When you study this stuff 15, 16, 18 hours a day, you start understanding the patterns, and then you know what you're seeing immediately, no matter what they say. But in this case, they're admitting it all. Steve Quayle.
Well, I think the bottom line is that whatever they do, they always do in plain sight. And remember, redefining terms is a Hegelian dialectic, and we watched that in Hitler, and, you and I started screaming when they started talking about Homeland Security. By the way, wasn't it just last week that Homeland Security supposedly had done penance for their identifying all of the terrorists, and now they're back up in full force again, and guess who's on the list? Everybody was on the list before. Now, Alex, here we may be close to this, a timing issue before you and I have to say goodbye today. The idea of the timing, it looks like October, November is the time period. I just got an email in. You need to hear this. The Louisiana State Police are doing explosive ordnance device training. They're running classes right now for all their parishes. The policeman in this class told me they're getting ready to raise the terror alert, looking at some weird United Nations camera vehicle group on I-20 in Mississippi at this point. And the guy said, thank you, Frank. He's saying, I'm trying to get pictures. So the thing is, look, we come out, we speak about the vaccination. They say, okay, we'll just go to the next thing. We identify the next thing. They just go to the next thing. These people are not without plan D, E, F, G if we expose A, B, C. but it still puts people into the same position. They have got to make sure that if they could not go to a store for 30 days, they could stay where they're at. By the way, our governor just made a statement, I guess, today that he's not going to allow anybody with federal authority to take away the guns, the food, or the state rights that we possess and we intend to stand with. So, again, we've got a very outspoken state governor. People are asking me, will succession succeed? No. We're going to be balkanized. The only question is, will enough people be gotten out of harm's way in time?
Steve, that's another nexus point. Your governor said you're going to manufacture guns in the state outside federal control. Northcom out of Colorado said we're not going to allow that. And then now Obama's come in with Justice Department letters threatening the states, threatening them with the John Warner Defense Authorization Act that stated Homeland Security is to block governors and legislatures. So that's what this is a major federalized, internationalized cancer probe that they've put in to this town.